Welcome to the MLB Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by Play Picks and the Lines, coming to you from the West Coast. Josh Lander, joined by my guy Mo Noir in the Midwest. We got Nate Weitzer on the East Coast, and we are looking at a pretty fun Monday night slate here. Got about 7 evening games to work with, a couple of day games that we'll list out as well for you guys. Make sure you are liked and subscribed to that page. Continue to follow along with us during these weekdays as we bring you each and every MLB post regular season line, as well as a couple games and best bets that we like for you guys. And as always, if you do still need a FanDuel or DraftKings account, head to fdpicks.com or dkpicks.com. Find those listings in your area, such as what we've got for tonight. Nate, let's get into it.
Yeah, rare noon game here in Baltimore with the Royals there, and the Yankees also have a 1 o'clock start. Then we get to the evening games, Dodgers at Pirates. That's plus 200 for Pittsburgh at home. The tanking Reds plus 150 at home as they have Luis Castillo on the mound against the Brewers. A's are in a toss-up at Detroit. Cleveland plus 150 at Chicago, the White Sox, that is. The Marlins minus 118 at Arizona. Phillies plus 108 at Seattle. And then the Rockies are big dogs, plus 205 at the Giants with Rodon on the mound. But we're starting in Seattle there out on the West Coast, and what seems like a pretty low total and good odds for the over here, minus 105 with Ranger Suarez and Chris Flexen on the mound. Suarez, has the tendency to get pounded when he leaves balls out in the zone, and he's been a little too aggressive this year in terms of pounding the zone. But the biggest thing is where they're making contact with him when he's out of the zone. It's his outside zone contact rate has jumped all the way up to 69% this year, not missing many bats. His fastball rating down 24 points, according to Fangraphs this year, as he just has not been locating his pitches, and righties are hitting 338 off him, giving up 4 homers and walked 9 in his last 4 starts. So like that Seattle offense, which is starting to come around and has been much better at home all season. They hit 261 versus 204 at home. Their OPS is basically 800 instead of 600 at home. And they've gone 4-1-1 to the over in their last 6 there at home. And Flexen also getting hit pretty hard when he's in the zone, 92% Z contact rate. His 244 BABIP seems like a bit of good fortune considering it was 300 last year when he had better peripherals in terms of missing bats. So I think with that Phillies offense coming to town, I think we'll see plenty of runs put up in this one.
Yeah, I want to first say that my record betting overs in my life is very poor. So I'm usually not on too many of them, but this one really stood out to me. These offenses are they're pounding the ball. So far, Seattle is 5th in WRC plus. Philly is 9th. I kind of expect it to be reversed down the road. I think Philly's offense is definitely looks a little better than Seattle's to me on paper, but I've been impressed with the Mariners, man. They've been hitting the ball. And unfortunately, I hate to say it because Ranger Suarez was my guy last year. I took a little flyer on 75-1 Cy Young before the season. Don't think I'm going to get a sweat out of that one. Man, this guy was just incredible last year, but doesn't look like he's carried the magic over this year. He has barely more strikeouts than walks. Sierra up to 4.8. I mean, I think he'll do better, but I'm thinking he's maybe more like a league average arm than like the borderline elite arm he looked like last year. And Flexen, not as interesting of a pitcher as Ranger. He just isn't very good, I don't think. 4.7 Sierra last year, 4.7 Sierra this year again. Getting hammered, 91.7 exit velocity. So yeah, I'm really surprised this total is this low with these quality offenses against, I think, mediocre at best pitching, you would have to say, between these two arms. And Seattle's the only one of these two with a bullpen that I'm thinking is going to shut anybody down. So pretty happy to click over here and I guess just see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I feel like this is a pretty prime target for an over as well. With Suarez actually having in his last 7 starts, the Phillies have won 6 of them, straight up 6-1, but still giving up about 4 runs in 6 innings of work, or 5 1/3 or so innings of work over that time as well. So it's not like his ERA is really being held down in that Phillies bullpen. And yeah, that offense coming there against Flexen as well, I think should work out pretty nicely for a pretty low total as we're seeing it. And honestly, would consider backing the Phillies myself, to be honest. If you do not really trust Flexen the way that I don't, and feel a little bit better about the run support that you seem to be getting from Suarez there on the Phillies side. So some consideration there. But let's move on to another game here with some more subpar pitching at the maybe even worse pitching here. We've got Oakland and Detroit in Detroit there. Paul Blackburn taking on Michael Pineda. A total of 7 runs. Oakland currently sits at plus 108 on the money line. So Mo, where do you start here in this one with any angles that you're looking at?
Well, first of all, take it easy on my guy, Paul Blackburn. Scooped him up in one of my fantasy leagues. He's been winning me bets. This guy's a legend so far this year. I don't know what's gotten into him. He's been a long time, just a warm body, basically, honestly, that Oakland has pretty much just thrown out when they need spot starts. Yeah, like 10 starts is his max in a season. I mean, I don't know what's gotten into him this year, but he is legitimately pitching a lot better. So it's really shocking. Like any pitcher can just kind of get lucky, right? And put together, even we're up to 5 games, five starts here. Any pitcher can fire 5 great starts in a row if they get lucky, but I don't see a single thing that Paul Blackburn is doing that looks like it's based in luck. He's throwing 1.5 mile per hour harder on his heater. Every single one of his ERA estimators starts with a 2. His contact management, that's always been good, except last year it kind of sucked, but I mean, that was like an outlier compared to the rest of his career. He's always been really good. And what's the difference is he's getting people to swing and miss now. That's never been a part of his game. And that's really a thing I base my estimations of these pitchers on heavily. I want to see swings and misses. He hasn't gotten them. And then this year he's gone from a poor swing and miss rate to above the league average. And he's always been a guy with control. He's not going to walk a ton of batters, and he's walking even less batters this year. Stellar first strike rate, 71.7%. If he's even in the ballpark of being this good, I'm just like, I think that the A's should be favored here. I think this is wrong team favored. And Pineda on the other side, man, he is as ticking time bomb as it gets, honestly, for a pitcher. Let me just say, when your average exit velocity allowed exceeds your average fastball velocity, this is incredibly bad. Okay. And that's where Michael Pineda's at right now. He's throwing 90, 91, and his average exit velocity is an incredible 93 miles per hour. That's like, so I think barrels start at like 95. So he's damn near allowing a barrel on average. Yeah, it's pretty bad. And neither one of these offenses is very good. But I don't think Detroit's offense is enough above the A's to make them favored here with this much of a worse pitcher.
Interesting correlation that the crackdown on foreign substances on the baseball has coincided with Pineda not missing any bats and getting hit progressively harder and harder. Still looking, very homer prone. I mean, I don't think this A's offense is really going to light him up because they don't light anybody up, but I think you can look at backing Blackburn or really fading Pineda and maybe taking that A's money line along with the under at plus 250. You can get 7.5 runs under there and parlay those results. Yeah, Blackburn, what he's doing differently, it looks like, is just not throwing that slider anymore, instead featuring a cutter that's allowed him to get guys to swing and miss outside the zone. The outside zone contact rate has gone down from 73 to 60% this year, as he's got that 25% K rate. So yeah, getting ahead and then using the cutter to put righties away. I think we'll see another steady start from him. And I think that's why we back the A's versus an erratic guy like Pineda.
This definitely turned into a bit of a bashing session on Pineda, and I don't think there's a surprise correlation, Nate, between your Boston fandom and trashing the former Yankees pitcher who was likely using a couple of those substances at that time when he was accused. But we will move away from that for a minute and move on to our final game here, where we've got the Guardians taking on the Chi Sox there in Chicago. A 7.5 run total, maybe a potential parlay here. Nate, kick things off for me in this one and what you're looking at when as I talk about that parlay. Cleveland money line and an over probably.
Well, all Mo's telling me is how bad Plesac is, but that he likes the Guardians in this one. So, I mean, how else are they going to win if they don't put up a bunch of runs in this game? And they've gone over in 6 of their last 7, even got to 7 runs in that last under with the Blue Jays. They put up 19 runs on the White Sox in their meeting last month. So they can get to this bullpen. It's still a dangerous offense. That's 5th in OPS right now, averaging the most at-bats per game. So maybe they'll be able to get Michael Kopech out of here pretty quick. He's been really walking a ton of guys, like barely has any more strikeouts than walks. For an opener like that, or I mean, maybe a long opener if you want to call him a 4 or 5 inning guy, that's not a good sign. I think, eventually he'll run into some trouble there, get yanked earlier than they expect, and then they're getting into some middle relievers that they didn't really want to unearth that early. And Plesac, he's just a guy that as soon as you try to fade him, I'm sure he'll just find a way to junk ball his way to 5 or 6 innings of good work. I mean, he got pounded by the White Sox in 3 starts early last season, then had a little bit of luck and only gave up 3 earned in his last 3 against them. So maybe the baseball gods smile on you and he has a quality start, or maybe the Guardians outslug him. That parlay we're talking about with the Guardians and the over is plus 410. So very juicy there. At the same time, I'd consider the White Sox to score 4 runs at about even money here because I don't know, Plesac, all of his like a 50% hard hit rate this year. He's just getting whacked.
Yeah, I don't think Plesac honestly belongs in a major league rotation. I feel like he should be like a follower or, a long man or something. He's just not very good. And yeah, I do think there's some correlation here between Guardians and the over, because I do think the White Sox are bound to score on Plesac. It's like you said, if he gets through the lineup a few times, it's going to be by getting lucky on contact management, which could absolutely happen. It's baseball. But I think the White Sox do project to score some runs here. At the same time, they are huge favorites, and I'm just like not sure they deserve to be huge favorites, given that I don't have a ton of confidence in Kopech either. So I do think if Cleveland is in this, it's likely kind of a back and forth 5-4 type of game. So I do kind of think there's some correlation between Cleveland and the over. And my reasoning behind not really having a lot of confidence in Kopech is just his peripherals don't look that great to me. He hasn't a lot of single home run so far. He's got a 232 BABIP. I just don't think any of this is going to keep up. He's pitching okay. I'm not saying he's been bad by any means, but I just feel like the market, I guess, is more confident in him than I am, because they seem the market seems to be confident in him basically every one of his starts, but I'm not. His swinging strikes stink so far, and his zone rate is pretty low. Like you were saying, the walks are an issue so far. The guy's coming back from major surgery still. He's probably got a ways to go. It wasn't even for sure that he was going to be, be able to stick as a starter, honestly, initially when he came up as one of the better prospects out there. Like, his command was always the question mark. So, I do. I'm not like saying I'm thrilled to either bet either Guardians or over. I'm going to wait and see kind of where the line goes tomorrow. But I've definitely got my eye on both of those because, I do think the White Sox are a little bit overpriced here, and I'm a little surprised the total's this low.
I can understand that. I mean, I think what they're doing with Kopech has actually been pretty intelligent, just sort of, weaning him into, the starter role a bit more rather than more of a spot starter, and actually trying to get him. I mean, there's still about, 4.2 innings or so that he's pitching in these first 5 starts or so, but that ERA remains super low. And even that, the ground ball rate and his K rate his walk rate is also still remaining pretty good. So while maybe there is a bit of an uptick to come in terms of the contact that people are making, with some of his stuff, it does at this point, his control is keeping runners off the paths, and I think he's doing a good enough job there. So I'm not as sold necessarily on an over, and I understand there's no value on the White Sox, but I'm still a little bit weary of taking Cleveland against a good starter with such a sort of a legitimate or an alleged bad starter in Plesac coming to the mound, which I would agree with you on that as well, Mo. So that is all the time we have for you guys in this one. Having fun kicking off Monday night with a fun MLB slate tonight with you guys. Make sure you are liked and subscribed. Continue to follow along with us this regular season. And until we see you next, happy betting.